Karen sealed off our ice shelter. 3 minutes later, I pulled up in a heated coach bus. Have you ever faced a life-threatening situation, only to have someone's petty, self-serving actions make it infinitely worse? For Elias, a seasoned wilderness guide, it was a test of his resolve, his compassion, and his ability to outmaneuver pure, unadulterated selfishness in the face of a blizzard. The Arctic wind howled, a brutal, unforgiving force that ripped at exposed skin and turned breath to icy vapor. Elias and his team of volunteers were on a mission to secure a remote ice fishing community, isolated by the worst blizzard in decades. Their goal was to move the remaining families to a designated emergency shelter, a large, sturdy ice igloo they'd painstakingly constructed and reinforced. The storm hit harder, faster than anyone predicted, dropping temperatures to dangerous lows and visibility to zero. They raced against time, guiding the last few families, including several elderly individuals and young children, towards the promised safety. Then, she appeared. Beatrice Hawthorne, a self-proclaimed winter purist and fierce advocate for preserving the pristine wilderness experience, owned a luxury cabin nearby. Beatrice, clad in an expensive fur-trimmed parka, materialized from the swirling snow, her face a mask of indignation, her voice shrill even against the wind. "You cannot bring these people into my designated viewing area," she shrieked, gesturing wildly towards the emergency ice shelter. "This is a prime spot for aurora borealis viewing. Their presence will ruin the natural tranquility and scare away the wildlife." The core conflict was stark. Beatrice was attempting to bar desperate, freezing families from their only refuge, all to protect her absurd notion of an exclusive natural experience. Her selfishness was breathtaking, her lack of empathy a chilling contrast to the sub-zero temperatures. Elias, battling the wind and his rising anger, tried to reason. "Beatrice, people are freezing to death out here. This is an emergency shelter built for this exact purpose. We're talking about lives." He gestured to an elderly woman shivering violently, her lips blue. But Beatrice merely scoffed, wrapping her arms around herself as if protecting herself from their very existence. "Their poor planning is not my concern. I booked this spot for my exclusive winter retreat. You are disturbing the peace. I will not have it." Her tone dripped with an entitled disdain that was almost unbelievable given the circumstances. She truly believed her personal comfort and aesthetic preferences outweighed human lives. As Elias tried to direct the shivering group past her, Beatrice took action. "You? Put that up," she barked at a reluctant local guide she'd hired. To Elias's horror, the guide began erecting a temporary, yet formidable, snow fence, deliberately blocking the main entrance to the ice shelter. It wasn't just a physical barrier, it was a psychological one, forcing the already exhausted and hypothermic families to divert, losing precious time and energy in the blinding blizzard. One of the children began to cry, their small body trembling uncontrollably. Just as the last section of the snow fence was being put in place, sealing off the direct path to warmth, a crackle came over Elias's comms unit. It was Anya, his lead volunteer, her voice strained. "Elias, emergency. The main road's completely impassable now. A huge drift just came down. And the secondary generator at the main base camp just failed. We're losing heat. Fast. The infirmary is critical. Medical supplies are exposed." A cold dread settled in Elias's stomach. The main base camp, originally meant as their fallback, was now in dire straits. And the snow fence, deliberately erected by Beatrice, wasn't just blocking access to their primary shelter. It was now effectively trapping the vulnerable families between the collapsing base camp and the inaccessible igloo, directly in the path of the relentless storm. Beatrice's petty act of territoriality had just escalated into a life-threatening blockade with far-reaching consequences for the entire rescue operation. Elias snapped, his patience reaching its absolute breaking point. "Beatrice, you just condemned these people," he roared, grabbing her arm. "This is not about your viewing area anymore. You're obstructing a rescue operation." He pulled out his satellite phone, quickly dialing emergency services, detailing Beatrice's actions. Beatrice, initially defiant, stared at the phone with wide, fearful eyes, the reality of her situation slowly dawning on her. "What? No. I was just protecting my property." Her voice, previously so sharp, now trembled. Just then, a faint rumble became audible over the wind's shriek. The sound grew louder, more distinct, until a massive shape emerged from the whiteout. It was a brightly lit, heated coach bus, its powerful snow tires churning through the drifts. At the wheel, bundled in a heavy parka, was Elias's old friend and fellow guide, Lars. Lars had been trying to reach them for hours, tasked with bringing extra supplies, but the roads were too treacherous. He'd been forced to take an old, rarely used logging trail, a treacherous route, but one that bypassed the main road blockages. Lars, seeing the cluster of shivering people and the hastily erected snow fence, immediately understood. He skillfully maneuvered the huge bus, slowly pushing through the fragile snow barrier Beatrice had ordered built. The fence collapsed under the sheer bulk of the vehicle, scattering snow and revealing the now accessible entrance to the ice shelter. The families, their faces etched with relief, surged forward. As the bus pulled up, its warm interior glowing invitingly, Ms. Albright, the head of the Regional Emergency Services, emerged from the passenger door. She scanned the scene, her gaze landing squarely on a pale, trembling Beatrice. "Ms. Hawthorne," she began, her voice calm but firm, "I believe you're obstructing an active emergency rescue. We've received reports, and Mr. Elias has provided us with live video evidence of you deliberately blocking access to a critical shelter." She then gestured to the struggling families boarding the bus. "Your actions have compounded an already dire situation, endangering numerous lives, including those who were specifically designated for this very shelter." Beatrice whimpered, her earlier bravado completely gone. "I didn't know. I just wanted peace and quiet." She tried to retreat, but Detective Miller, who had disembarked with Ms. Albright, calmly stepped in front of her. "Ms. Hawthorne, your actions constitute criminal negligence and obstruction of emergency services. We also have reports of you tampering with emergency markers and misdirecting other rescue teams earlier today, all to keep this area private for your exclusive viewing experience." It turned out Beatrice had been causing disturbances for days, not just with Elias, but with other rescue teams, trying to cordon off her wilderness. This wasn't just about the ice shelter. It was a systemic interference with public safety, driven by her self-aggrandizing delusion that nature existed solely for her enjoyment. Her history of petty complaints and territorial behavior, once merely annoying, had now become dangerously criminal. The collapse was swift and absolute. Beatrice was immediately taken into custody. The charges were severe: criminal negligence, obstruction of emergency services, and endangering lives. The local news, alerted by Ms. Albright's team, descended on the scene, broadcasting the shocking story of her callous actions. Her carefully cultivated image as a nature enthusiast and community patron was shattered, replaced by public outrage. The exclusive Winter Wonders lodge she frequented immediately revoked her membership. Her wealthy wilderness purist friends publicly disavowed her, appalled by the revelations. Beatrice lost everything. Her reputation was in tatters, her social standing evaporated, and her considerable wealth would be drained by legal fees and potential civil lawsuits from the families she endangered. The harsh wilderness, which she claimed to love and protect, had become the backdrop for her spectacular downfall, her karma as cold and unforgiving as the blizzard itself. Elias watched the bus pull away, carrying the now-safe families to the main base camp, where emergency heat had just been restored. He felt a profound sense of relief, the immediate crisis averted. But there was also a quiet weariness, a realization of the depths of human selfishness. He had faced down blizzards, avalanches, and treacherous terrain, but nothing had been as truly chilling as Beatrice's indifference to human suffering. This whole ordeal leaves you thinking, doesn't it? In extreme situations, when does personal preference cross the line into dangerous negligence? And what does true preservation of nature really mean, if it comes at the cost of human compassion and safety?